Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this virtual Open Days live talk for Medical Biotechnology program. So I'm Xiu Yan here, the moderator for this live talk. Before I proceed to introduce the speaker, let me inform you a few housekeeping rules. So please be informed that we have muted the microphone for all attendees. And for any questions and feedback, please use the Q&A panels. And these live talk sessions will be recorded. All right, the speakers for this live talk is Prof. Chin Yoke. Prof. Chin is the Associate Dean for Research and External Affairs in School of Health Sciences, and she is also heading the Center for Stem Cell and Cancer Research in RD-IMU. And of course, Prof. Chin is also one of the faculty members in Medical Biotechnology program in IMU. Along with Prof. Chin, we also have an alumnus, which is Mr. Ruben, and also our two current final year students, Mr. Brian and also Miss Joey. They are going to share with you their experience in IMU, particularly in our MB program. So without further ado, let's welcome Prof. Chin for a talk on medical biotechnology in the era of the current pandemic, science and career. So Prof. Chin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chu Yan. I'd like to share my slides. All right, can everybody see the slides?
Yes, Prof. Chin, we can see.
Okay, all right. So welcome everybody. My name is B.Y. Chin, and I would like to once again introduce, share this talk with my colleagues, Chu Yan, and my fellow students and alumni. Okay, so basically, this is the outline of the talk. I'm going to briefly touch upon these particular areas. What is medical biotechnology? I'm going to abbreviate it to MB. The role of MB in the current pandemic, COVID-19 vaccine as an MB innovation, biotechnology industry in Malaysia, survey of salaries and job opportunities, the MB program in IMU, MB internships, graduate and job placements, and MB student and alumnus sharing session. Now, at the end of each section, because this will be a little bit unconventional. Why am I doing this? Because at the end of each section, I'm sure some of you will have questions. So I will pause a little bit, and Dr. Wang will relay the questions to me, and I will address it at the end of each section, because a lot of times, like when we're in school, when the lecturer is giving a talk and in the middle of the session, you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't understand that concept. And then you wait till the end, an hour later, and you would have forgotten what your question is. So in this particular session, I think we're going to change a little bit so that we will invite questions. Okay. Okay, briefly, I want to share a little bit about myself, something about myself. I am Malaysian, but I grew up entirely in the United States. So basically, I'm a toxicologist and physiologist by training. And these are some of the universities that I've gotten my training from. I did my postdoctoral fellow at the U.S. Department of Energy. My first official job was at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, where I was a researcher, and I also held a joint appointment at Harvard Medical School, teaching Harvard Medical students. I was also a founding scientist in the biotech startup group called FAMA, and then I returned to Malaysia in like 2012, 2013. I was at Sunway for a year and a half before I came to IMU. Okay, so let's do something unconventional, meaning I'll just ask a quick poll question. In your own words, how would you define medical biotechnology? Is anybody brave enough to attempt this question? Chu Yan, can you pass on the response?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat box now. There's no response, Prof.
No response?
Yeah. Maybe
Come
you
on,
can
guys.
proceed.
Come on, guys. Be brave. Be brave. Come on, let's be brave. What do you think medical biotechnology is? Ah, I see something. Anything, Chuyen? No?
Someone write cyborg
Cybod. How do you?
in plates.
Yeah, cyborg. Oh, okay, cyborg. Yeah. That is one of the outputs of medical biotechnology. Anybody
Mhm.
else? I see there are two,
Yeah.
three.
Implants.
Implants, yes. Medical devices, that's part of medical biotechnology. Anything else? Come on, guys.
So far, no.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Um, let me share with you. So in see you see how difficult it is for the general public to define medical biotechnology, right? So you see the output of medical biotechnology, but do a lot of people understand what medical biotechnology is? So one of the ways for us in the profession to describe medical biotechnology is to break it down into two words: medical biotechnology. So the first is medical. So obviously everybody knows what medicine is, right? It is the science that figures out how the cells and organs in our body works and how we manage and treat diseases. So that's medicine. Then we take the other arm, which is biotechnology. So in general, biotechnology is the use of biological processes of any organisms to help us live long and productive lives, meaning we use living organisms, such as you see here. This is basically a coronavirus, and these are bacteria, right? So we use these organisms, for example, to come up with ways to help us live longer. So when you combine them both, medical biotechnology, it's a discipline of medicine, biology, and biotechnology that primarily studies DNA of living organisms, such as viruses and bacteria, and uses them to come up with ways to help us treat and manage diseases. An example, of course, you guys had mentioned medical devices. See, right now I'm showing you conventional medical devices like blood pressure machines and medications. You guys have mentioned cyborgs, plates and stuff like that, right? And another medical biotechnology breakthrough is using humanized mice. You see a mouse with a shadow, the gene of a human being, to study diseases. And of course, we're going to touch upon this a little bit later, is the vaccine, right? So is everybody okay with that definition of medical biotechnology? If I don't get a response, that means it's okay, right? So another question that we're always asked, all of us, both faculty as well as academic staff, as well as in the marketing department, is what is the difference between medical biotechnology, biomedical science, and biomedical engineering? So I hope to address it here. It'll make it a little bit easier to understand. So once again, what is medical biotechnology? It studies DNA of living organisms, right, to come up with ways to help us treat and manage diseases. You know, so that's medical biotechnology. So what is biomedical science? Biomedical science studies how tissues, cells, and organ systems function in the human body. So it is important in understanding and treatment of human diseases. Like, diagnostic tools, the doctor withdraws blood from you, and it looks at the blood and in some ways tells us what's wrong with us, right? So that's biomedical science. Then there's biomedical engineering, right, which develops machines, medical devices, and other technologies that can be used in hospitals and other healthcare settings. You can see here is a 3D printing machine, and you can see here the prosthetic devices. So biomedical engineering uses medical biotechnology to then design all these pieces of equipment, medical devices, right? So the last question I'm going to ask everybody here is, can you name any medical biotechnology invention or product that is currently in use right now? Think of diseases. Can anybody name any type of medication that's being used to help deal with, to treat and manage diseases? Anybody? Come on, guys. Ah,
Okay, someone answer vaccine.
vaccine is one,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. What is more common? that you find in 33% of Malaysians? What is a disease that affects 33% of Malaysians? Come on, guys.
Antibiotics, insulin, Prof.
Hey, yes, insulin. That's the most common.
Yeah.
33% of Malaysians have diabetes. All right.
Mm.
Excellent. Excellent, guys. Excellent. So, insulin, or the production of non-human or non-mammalian insulin, is a very, very important milestone that is used to describe medical biotechnology. And what do I mean by that? So, what happens when you have diabetes? You have a lack of, you can't take in glucose in the body because you need insulin, right? So, you don't have insulin. So, what insulin does is it sees the glucose running around in your blood, it pulls it in, and it shoves it into your cell to give you energy, right? So, what happens is that, in the old days, if you look at this picture on the right, what you see here, this is in the 1950s, where um, local slaughterhouses, scientists used to go to slaughterhouses where they slaughter animals for meat, right? So what they do is they go to slaughterhouses, and you see here is they take pancreases from all the animals. In this particular case, it's a pig farm. They take in all the pancreases and they grind it up, right? See this huge grinder. They grind it up and then they purify it. And that was used to control diabetes in the 1950s, right? It's kind of scary, isn't it? Because the problem with that is a lot of people are allergic to animals, and for religious reasons may not be able to take in animal insulin. So because of biotechnology and the use of bacteria and viruses, in terms of studying a DNA, what these medical biotechnologists did was they used bacteria, in this case E. coli, and they put in the human insulin gene into bacteria, and then these bacteria then became factories, protein insulin factories, to generate what we call recombinant. You can see here recombinant DNA origin, recombinant human insulin. So this is made by E. Lilly. So this particular insulin, it's very common now. There are so many companies that make this type of insulin. It's now being used by everybody in the world, right? So we no longer use animal derived insulin. It's all recombinant human insulin, right? So for those of you who know people with insulin, go to the refrigerator, take a look at that bottle, and you can see the keyword here is recombinant DNA. So this is what biotechnology does, right? It's able to take something that is very difficult to generate or harvest, and to make a lot of it in a very short amount of time, which we will see when we talk about vaccines. Okay. Any questions thus far? Okay, we give a 5-second window. Okay, no questions, Chuyan?
Yeah, I'm checking on the Q&A panels and also the chat box.
No questions?
Yep,
right.
so far no questions, Prof. Chin.
Okay, so then we talk about the role of medical biotechnology in this current pandemic. Right. So a little bit of history. Of course, the the COVID-19 pandemic. The virus that causes it is called SARS-CoV-2, right? This particular virus was sequenced by Chinese scientists and shared it across the world in December 2019. So because of this particular sequence, medical biotechnologists can then use it to develop a test to detect it in the body fluids of infected people. So this basically is a three-dimensional reconstruction of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, right? So how does it work, right? Basically, how are we infected by this particular virus? So this is my poor drawing of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So usually the SARS-CoV-2 virus, they enter our body and then they find a human cell. They attach themselves to the human cell. If you take a look at this is also an artist's reconstruction of how the SARS-CoV-2 virus, this is part of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, what we call the spike protein. this little T here, all right, is a spike protein. And the spike protein touches upon a receptor on the human cell. Some of you may know it as a ACE receptor. If the virus doesn't attach itself to the receptor, it will not infect us, right? So using this information, medical biotechnologists have designed a way to come up with a vaccine, right? I'll talk about that vaccine development in a bit. So traditionally, vaccines are made by isolating the virus, growing a lot of it, and then killing it by heating it at very high temperatures. So by heating it at very high temperatures, the entire virus is killed off, right? And it's no longer what we call immunogenic. So it's no longer infectious. So what happens is in conventional vaccines, you have the killed virus that's been injected in your body, and then your body will then mount an immune reaction, which we'll talk along a little bit. Any questions so far? Nope.
No questions, Prof. Chin.
Okay. So the COVID-19 vaccine, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Malaysian context and how it works. Okay. So in Malaysia, I think all of us are abuzz in figuring out which vaccine is coming first. There are actually 5 vaccines: the Pfizer, the AstraZeneca, and there are 2 here. Why? Because Malaysia purchased it through a COVAX or in consortium type of purchase, versus they purchased it directly from AstraZeneca as well. That's why you see 2. And then you have the other vaccine, the Sinovac vaccine from China, the CanSino Bio vaccine, and then the Sputnik or Gamila Russian vaccine. Okay. Thus far, the Pfizer vaccine has been, a lot of studies have been done with it, and a lot of countries have purchased it, and Malaysia will get the Pfizer vaccine next month, right? So Malaysia, they have enough or have purchased enough for 20% of the population. So 32 million, 20% will be about 6-7 million people, right? But there's an option of purchasing 20% more. And the biotechnology that is used to generate this vaccine is the mRNA, or the modified RNA, or as a scientist would call it, the messenger RNA, right? So the difference between the Pfizer vaccine and all the other vaccines is very simple. This is the most advanced technology currently being used, right? That's why it's much faster in the generation. I'll share with you in a little bit. And the most conventional type of vaccine that Malaysia will purchase is from this company called Sinovac, which uses the traditional inactivated or heat kill vaccine, right? So the other vaccines, the AstraZeneca, the CanSino and the Sputnik vaccine, uses adenoviral vector. So I mean, this talk, I don't have enough time to discuss this, but using different technologies to generate a vaccine, right? And that's biotechnology. So everything here is biotechnology related, except for the heat kill or the conventional vaccine. Okay. And let me tell you the difference between the Pfizer or the mRNA vaccine versus the traditional vaccine, because I know a lot of you have questions. Because once it comes in February, and the frontliners will get it in April and May, and then the general public, us, will get it probably in Q3, which is like September, maybe August, September, right? So we as consumers would like to know how this vaccine will work and whether it will be effective. Okay, so the mRNA vaccine takes part of the DNA, what we call the blueprint of the protein, which is right here. This is the actual construct, right? Versus the traditional vaccine uses the entire virus and it's heat killed, right? You have an entire virus, which is right here, that's killed, versus just a construct right here, right? And this construct, please believe me, because we've studied this extensively. This construct, even though it is part of the virus, it is non-infective and it doesn't replicate in your body. So let's have that theory taken out the door. Okay, so you have that little segment, this tiny segment of the virus. In most cases, it's from the spike protein. It can produce it faster because it's only a little tiny segment. Whereas you have this entire virus, you have to generate a lot of it. So you have to grow it a lot more. Whereas the mRNA, it's very easy to synthetically generate that, right? And once that's done, once you have enough of the mRNA vaccine, you inject it in the body, and it serves that little segment is enough to mount an immune response. And it is the same thing for a traditional heat kill vaccine. And this is to also share with you that this particular Pfizer mRNA vaccine took less than 1 year to generate. And if you go back to the traditional vaccine, it usually takes about 10 years and costs about 500 million US dollars. So you see the contrast, the difference. But once again, because of biotechnology, this traditional vaccine has been cut from 10 years to basically 1 year to generate, because we're able to generate a lot more with the new technology as well. Okay. And one of the other reasons why the Pfizer vaccine is able to, the company Pfizer is able to come up with this particular vaccine is because of the historical data that's being shared across all coronaviruses. I'll give you an example. In the early 2000s, we have the original SARS-CoV, right? And then in the 2012, I think, or maybe 2009, that we had the MERS, or the Middle East vaccine. And then 2019, we had the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine. So all three of these vaccines share something very common, which are they are all coronaviruses. So based on the data found, data that's been accumulated for the last 20 years, biotechnologists are able to then put that all together, sequence the DNA, and come up with something like this. Okay. And so when the Pfizer vaccine comes, this is basically what happens in your body. So the mRNA vaccine is injected into the muscle, usually in the arm, right? And what this happens is we produce antibodies against a particular spike protein. Remember, the virus has to attach to our cells to infect it. So if we generate antibodies preventing the spike protein from attaching to our cells, we won't be infected. So this is the whole foundation of this particular mRNA vaccine, right? So last slide in this vaccine segment is that, this is what's all in a vaccine. You have water, you have the active ingredient. In the conventional vaccine, you have the kill virus. In the Pfizer vaccine, you have the modified RNA, right? That's the active ingredient. Then you have adjuvants, something that will help your body mount the immune reaction. Residual traces, formaldehyde naturally found in the body. It's helped, to package the vaccine. And this particular section here, preservative or stabilizers. So a lot of you probably have heard on the news, a lot of people have allergic reactions. A lot of people with allergic reactions have an adverse reaction, meaning that some of them are hospitalized, or some of them may have died because of it. And one of the components they found was polyethylene glycol to stabilize. It's used to stabilize mRNA. So it's just one of those things that, as consumers, as the lay public, I think it's incumbent upon us to share this information with you, so that you can make a well-informed decision when it comes time to which vaccine do you want to take. All right. Okay. Any questions up till now, Chuyan?
Yes, Prof. Chin, there is a question here.
Sure.
So, yeah, in this current pandemic, is the demand for medical biotechnologies higher as compared to biomedical scientists?
Okay, I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer because we are waiting for the second coming, the enrollment process here in IMU. What I can share with you, based on speaking to prospective students and parents, is the general feeling of I don't know what medical biotechnologists can do in Malaysia, right? And I know it's interesting, I know it's engaging, but I don't know. I don't want to take that chance, right? I think that's the general feeling. So let me share in my future slides. I hope to address that question. Okay. Any other questions, Julian?
Yes, Prof. Chin, there are two more questions here. So the next one is, what is the difference between biomedical science and biotechnology? I think this one, Prof. Chin, you already answered, right?
Yeah, but I'll do it over again
Yeah.
just in case. So, like we said before, medical biotechnologists, they use any part of the living organism, whether it can be a plant, a virus, a parasite, a bacteria, right? Uses any part of the living organism, and we manipulate, we play around, we repurpose the DNA to come up with things like vaccines and antibiotics, stuff like that. So that's medical biotechnology. So biomedical science, what biomedical scientists do is they try to diagnose. What do I mean by that? Let's say I have cholera. It's one of the diseases. So cholera, you see cholera is not a good one because it's very ancient. I have what's a common one I want to use? I have cancer. Sorry, I have to use that. I have cancer, right? I have early stage 1 lung cancer. So I show no symptoms, but I cough a lot. So what happens is the doctor, the surgeon, will take a sample of my lung, a biopsy, what we call it. So take a little segment, bring a tube, take a little segment out of the lung, and then we'll send to pathology, the pathology department. And in the pathology department, you have biomedical scientists who then take that little biopsy sample, they will fix it and they will section it and they will look for cancer markers. So essentially, in a nutshell, that's what biomedical scientists do. They sort of use the technology to diagnose um, diseases. Okay, I hope that is a little bit clearer. So biomedical scientists diagnose sort of conditions, whereas medical biotechnologists use innovative ways to figure out how to treat and manage diseases. Okay, now next question. I hope that
Yes.
answers your question.
Yeah, thanks, Prof. Chin, for your explanations. The next question is, which vaccine would you recommend, Prof. Chin?
Okay, it's a very tough one right now because as a scientist, to me, as toxicologist and biotechnologist, I'm actually anticipating and salivating at the Pfizer vaccine, right? Because it's technology. But as I'm putting myself in everybody's shoes. As a skeptic, as somebody who doesn't believe in biotechnology, I would go for the traditional, the conservative, using heat inactivated viruses. But let me go back to the slide if you don't mind. Okay, I'll go back to the slide. The main objective, irrespective of any of these vaccines, the main objective is to develop antibodies. The main objective is to have something injected in our bodies that is safe for us to induce antibody production to fight the virus. So I cannot give you a straightforward answer because I don't want you to say, "Oh, Prof. Chin says use the Pfizer vaccine." No, or Prof. Chin says use the Sinovac vaccine. No, no, no. I want to give you guys. I want to share with you the information we have as scientists um, of how these vaccines work, and let you as consumers to make the final decision. Yeah, I hope that answers your question too. Next question.
Yeah, Prof. Chin, I think I will take this as a last question for this
Okay.
sessions. Okay, what are the differences in the vaccine components between the different vaccine companies?
Okay. Right now, let's go here again. Um, let's see. Sorry. Right now, the main difference is in this section: preservatives and stabilizers. Okay. A lot of these companies, their proprietary information. Like the only reason why we found out it's PEG or polyethylene glycol is because it was during the clinical trials that they mentioned it. So until we have the vaccine in our hands, it's very difficult to share that. Yeah. Okay. So let me proceed to the next section. But please keep these questions. Chuyen, we can ask this question at the end. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So biotechnology in Malaysia. So why is biotechnology important in Malaysia? And some of you have asked the question, where is biotechnology in Malaysia? And I wanted to also share with you, we have at IMU in our medical biotechnology program, we have industrial advisors, meaning people in industry, high profile and very engaging very worldly industry leaders, such as Mr. Jay Padasian here. He used to work for Biotech Core, Bioeconomy in Malaysia, and he is now the principal or executive director of New Dawn and AP Biotechnologies. So he has actually shared his slides with us. So he has given me permission to share with all of you. So hopefully, based on his knowledge of biotechnology in Malaysia, I will then share and explain a little bit to you. So the biotechnology sectors that are important in Malaysia are of course, the biotechnology, which is the livestock and natural products, the bioindustrial, which is the bioremediation, biocatalysts, special chemicals, biomaterials. So it's very industry based. And then, of course, healthcare this is where medical biotechnology is placed. Right. So this is actually a very huge arm in the biotechnology growth in Malaysia and the biotechnology industry in Malaysia. So in particular, so it's actually all biotechnology, but the key thing here, of course, you want to look at is medical devices and medical biotechnology, that is. Medical devices, biosensors, in vitro diagnostics, meaning, using cell culture to play with DNA and stuff like that, and others, which is part of the vaccine development. So what all you see here, which is very, very important, are involved in biotechnology, right? Like gene therapy, bioinformatics, vaccine development, and generic drugs, right? Okay. And the medical biotechnology industry in Malaysia is growing. And this is a slide he shared with me. I'm sorry, I don't have the original slide. This was 2020. This was done in October 2020. And I can tell you that when I first came back to Malaysia in 2012, we barely had 10. Okay. So this is how far biotechnology in Malaysia have come. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to share this with you. For example, drug development in Malaysia. So I'm not sure whether some of you know that a lot of the medications or a lot of the innovative products in Malaysia have gone through this biotechnology process where a drug is discovered, it's characterized, it goes through preclinical, and then goes to clinical trials. So you can see here all of the companies, right? In this particular case, it is plant products, right? You can see in all of these companies are in this particular process, right? The discovery phase to the clinical trial phase, right? I can't share with you what these particular drugs are because it's not divulged at this point. But what I can tell you is some of these companies, we've actually had students do do their industry training, and some of our students are hired by these companies. So, hope to address that question at the end when we talk about careers. Okay. Any questions so far, Chuyen, about that section?
Let me check, Prof. Chin.
I don't think so. I didn't see any bleep in that. Okay.
Yep.
So let me move on to of course, a very important survey of salaries and jobs in biotechnology in Malaysia. So this survey was conducted in March 2019. So the survey was done in Kuala Lumpur in biotechnology with 0 to 3 years of experience. So the range that you see here of biotechnology with 0 to 3 experience range from the lowest, this is monthly salary of 1,500 to the highest 5,700 ringgit, right? But what they found was the most common salary was 1,900, or annually will be 22,800 ringgit. And the average salary was 2,900 per month, or annually was 34,800 a month, right? So you have your average, right, annual salary here, and you have your most common salary here, right? But once again, we go through this, lowest to highest, right? So this is a survey done by JobStreet. Well, the good thing is about biotechnologists in Malaysia is there every 18 months there's an increment of 12% in bump in salary, right? And why is this important? It's important because the national average across all professions is 9% over 17 months. So biotechnologists get an increment of 12% every 18 months. So that's a 3% increase. To a lot of people, it's a lot of money, right? So there are jobs in biotechnology jobs in Malaysia. And what do I mean by that? So example, this is what I found on Indeed last week. So one of the examples of job opportunities is the laboratory executive. So if you look here, this is the ad, right? The qualification is bachelor degree, postgraduate diploma, professional degree, and this is the same. I'm just cutting and pasting. They're looking for 1 year's experience. So I'm sure your question is, wait a minute, if I'm a fresh graduate, how do I compete with people with 1 year's experience? Well, I'm going to share with you that in the final year, which Dr. Wang will talk to you about in a little while, is that our final year we have 6 months of industry training. What do I mean by that? What you learn in school here in the program, Medical Biotechnology program, in 2 years, you spend the beginning or the end of your third year working in industry. You taking the theory you learn in the classroom and you go into the industry to then practice your theory. So you actually have a sort of a pseudo job for 6 months, and you then perform the task, kind of simulating a real job experience. In actuality, that counts, right? So there we go. The this is the continuation of the advert, right? So the requirements, a degree in genetics, molecular genomics, or any related life science. So students, when you go out, or parents, when you look for job opportunities, right? When you see something like this and you're like, wait a minute, my son and daughter, or I'm a medical biotechnology graduate, so I don't qualify, right? Just based on this, you tell yourself you don't qualify. Well, I'm telling all of you that's not true, because a medical biotechnology degree is very, very suitable, right? Because it's part of life sciences. Anything that says science or biology, it's your job to take, right? So that's one example of a laboratory job. And now you have diagnostic sales representatives. And I understand that a lot of people do not like to work in sales and marketing, but let me share with you, doing sales and marketing is part of the training, because now things are different, right? Not everybody, not every student wants to go and work in the lab. A lot of students, and I'm sure some of the students that will come up at the end here will share with you their personal interest as well. So we in academics, and I'm sure the industry, because I was in industry, we actually look for students or graduates who have a real knack for understanding the science and be able to then communicate that particular science to the public, right? It can be in as a scientist, or it can be in sales and marketing, or it can be as a teacher, right? So let's move on to the 21st century, where students have an opportunity to decide what they want, right? So in this particular case, if you look at the sales and diagnostic representatives, it's 25K. 25,000, that's not so bad, right? That is before contractual bonuses. So the good thing, the benefit of being in diagnostic sales or sales and marketing, it's sharing your technical information or your theoretical information to people who will then purchase that particular drug or that particular medical device, right? And then then you get a bonus if you're able to then have a lot of sales volume, right? Once again, if you look at the job requirements, must possess at least a degree in biomedical, biotechnology, or biochemistry. So once again, you know, the biotechnology companies, they know this, the graduates who are coming out of our programs, let's say for example, have the inherent skill or the understanding of biology, and in our case biotechnology, and are able to share it with the general public. So that's just one of those things. Okay, any questions so far about jobs and salaries?
Yes, Prof. Chin.
Mhm.
Would the difference in salary due to where we work, private or public sector? That's the question.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. Is there a difference in salary depending on which location you are situated? Yeah.
Yeah, it's also depending whether it is private or public sector.
Yes. Yes. Um, actually, it's yes and no. Um, location wise, it will be also yes and no. You know, it depends. It's which company you work for, whether it's a multinational, very well established company versus a startup company. You know, that's number one. These are the factors, right? The other factor is, you know, if it's a startup company, how many people are within the company, right? And if it's private or public, it also depends on in what particular industry, you know, vaccine development versus production. So it will be very different. So it's very difficult to answer that question, to give you an absolute answer, because I'm not really sure which angle you want me to approach it from. But once again, when we go to the end, I will then address maybe you guys can email us, you know, your exact situation or question, more details to the question. I hope that helps answering that question. Chuyen?
Yes, okay, Prof. Chin. So can we have one more question for these sessions?
Sure.
Okay. Does biotech has to use a lot of physics and mathematics skill?
Okay. Well, physics and math. Okay. We actually, well, eh, you know, any science you do, you know, when you're in high school or secondary school or pre-U, when you do the core sciences or the STEM, courses, you basically need chemistry, biology, physics, and chemistry, biology, physics, and math. Yeah. For medical biotechnology, we of course need a little bit about physics, not a lot, meaning that we, and Chu Yan will address it. Dr. Wang will address it in the program description a little bit. We need a little bit of information about physics because you need to understand how pieces of equipment work. Not a lot, just a little bit. And math, you need, you know, basic math. Can you do calculations? You know, because you wanna calculate volume, right? Molarity, how much to add, how much of an acid to add to make, you know, a different molarity of an acid, right? So, but primarily it's biology and chemistry. Is that okay, Chuyan?
Yes,
Because
Prof.
yeah,
Chin.
you're going to talk a little bit about that in the program, yeah? Which,
Yes,
which is
sure.
now.
Yep, okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Chuyan, take over a little bit.
Okay, let me get ready.
Okay, Chuyan.
Yep. So hang on. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the medical biotechnology program. So in short, I will just use the MB as for the medical biotechnology, right? So MP is a subset of biotechnology that teaches how to use the living organism to come up with products to help us live lifelong and more productive lives. So the MP program at IMU actually emphasizes on biotechnology application in the medical and also pharmaceutical field. So the course is 3 years honors program, and the program begins with a foundation phase in biological chemistry and a bit on the physical science. So the foundation phase will emphasize on concepts and theories important for creating a stable platform to develop the technical know-how and skill introduced in the transition and final phases of the course. Between the web lab, beside the web lab practicals, our MB program also introducing dry lab practicals, such as determining the protein structure and also the data analytics using the updated software. In the movement into the curriculum are modules related to human and community aspects, such as the biotechnology-related ethical issues, entrepreneurship, and science communication. In the transition phase of the course, much emphasis will be given to the technical hands-on skill, accumulating in the final phase, whereby students conduct an independent research project. So the final phase of the course also introduced an internship program where attachment for 6 months with biotechnology industry players are assigned. So all this training will enhance the employability of the graduates. So in terms of teaching and learnings, right? So students are to be exposed to dynamic, challenging, and also interactive teaching learning environments in IMU. So a wide range of teaching and learning methods are used to deliver the curriculum of the program. So this includes the plenary lecture, small group teaching, for example the problem-based learning and tutorials, workshop, computer-aided learning, seminars, presentations, industrial visits, community service and internship, as well as original and independent research. So in the curriculum, particular emphasis is placed on the soft skill, such as lifelong learning, team working, and also communication skill. In addition, critical thinking and problem-solving abilities will be developed as well, while providing students with a global outlook on biotechnology development and application. So in addition, competency-based education, which is CBE, is implemented in medical biotechnology program that offer in IMU. So this competency-based education is an approach to teaching and learning that allow the students to progress as they display a mastery of the skill or competency. All right, so the CBE can lead to a better student engagement as student outcomes are made measurable. All right, Prof. Chin, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Julian. So it's essentially just let me summarize a little bit. The teaching and learning, these are all theory sort of theory based as well as engagement based in the classroom. So what happens when you go to competency based learning is then the students are then tested or then and show the faculty whether they've actually taken theory to practice. So that's essentially what it means, teaching and learning to competency based. And that's very important because a lot of students, a lot of our not our graduates, but a lot of graduates in general, it's all over the world, they're very, very good in the classroom, meaning they get really great grades. But then when they go out to the field and when they actually put that theory into practice, they have a lot of what do you call obstacles, meaning that they they are afraid to show off their skills. Whereas when they're at IMU, we actually make sure that the students take what they've learned in the classroom and they're able to then apply it in the real world setting, which Jian talked about the 6 months practical training or industry training. They are trained at the industry of choice. They are able to then showcase their abilities to take theory to practice. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of being at medical biotechnology at IMU. Any questions on that, or we'll address it later, huh, Chuyan?
Yes, I think maybe we shall proceed first,
Yeah,
Prof.
yes,
Chin.
so we're close to the end. Okay,
Yeah.
MB industry training. So like we said, you know, the 6-month industry training is very, very crucial to hone in the skills and prepare our graduates to go out in the field, right? For example, so one of these are historical data based on feedback from our students as well, right? So the 115 or the cohort that came in 115, we actually see that, you know, 28% actually go outbound. They leave Malaysia, right, to do their internship, and 72% stay locally. So out of the 28%, the countries that they fraternize are Singapore, Taiwan, and New Zealand, right? So that changed drastically in 116, where we have 41% actually went abroad, went overseas to do their internship, whereas 59% stayed home. So primarily in Germany and Singapore. So we're waiting for the 117 data to come in. And I think because of the global bioindustry growth, the emergent technology, a lot of our students really like to go abroad to learn new skills or to share what they know, and to take what they know and share with our industry partners. Okay, so we also have partner schools. So those of you who are interested who would like to do their final year abroad, we have our partner, University of Newcastle in Australia, for the bachelor program. And we just signed an agreement with University of Strathclyde, Glasgow in the UK, where when you finish your undergraduate degree here, a 3-year undergraduate degree in IMU, you can immediately go to Strathclyde for industry biotechnology or forensic science, meaning that you don't have to apply to Strathclyde. You can just transition straight from IMU to Strathclyde, and you're able to do your project or your industry training over there as well. Okay, so this is a very nice agreement with Strathclyde, and there is a bursary, meaning that I think of right now it's a 15% bursary, where you don't have to pay the whole school fees, right? Okay, I'll skip to very quickly to data, also to show graduate studies, where our alumni go, where they go to graduate school, industry, or job placement. So where do our graduates go to further their education? These are the countries that they go to, right? So for our masters, Australia, you know, of course they stay locally, IMU, Singapore, and the United Kingdom, right? For their MBA, because some of our students actually have started up their own biotech companies, right? So they do their MBA in Australia, France, or the United Kingdom. And PhD students go to Australia, Germany, and Malaysia, right? So these are the data showing all of you where our alumni go to further their education. And this is also very important. If you get an undergraduate degree, if you get a bachelor degree from IMU in Medical Biotechnology, where do you find our graduates? We find them in four key areas: quality and regulatory affairs. Entrepreneurship means starting up your own business. In research and development, working in the lab, doing research and development, and also business development. So we find our graduates in these 4 areas, and these are some of the examples of jobs that our graduates are in. Okay, so we're going to skip to the MB student experience. I'm going to invite Chu Yen to take over here.
Right, thanks, Prof. Chin, for your interesting talk. So now let me call upon our alumni, Mr. Rubens, to give his sharings as an MB students.
Okay,
Ruben?
thank you, Dr. Wong. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruben, and I actually am an alumni. I graduated in 2019. I'm currently doing my Master of Science in Monash University, Malaysia. And I have gone and specialized in microbiology. So for me, I think I will touch on the whole actually the MB experience, and also what drove me to go into postgraduate studies, and what are some things that you need as a postgraduate student as well. So first of all, the medical biotechnology program is, as Dr. Wong explained earlier, as you can see, is very wholesome. It covers a lot of different aspects because when you go on, later on when you specialize, or even when you go out to work, what you realize is that it doesn't only cover. It's good to know different points of view, different fields, and not just focus on one. So let's say you do go into research, and you want to work on like right now people are working on things related to COVID. So it's we are not only looking at vaccines, but we are also looking at the effects of the virus itself on, because it's such a it's something that hit us so quickly, and it's caused such a huge impact on everyone. Hence, we are not only looking at finding the cure, finding a vaccine, but also while we are still living with it, how will it affect people with comorbid comorbidities, as well as any health related issues, high blood pressure, cancer, hypertension, age as well, so all of this comes into consideration. So the medical biotechnology program here in IMU, I can say has really helped me, because you're exposed to not only the theory, but focus is also on the practical skills itself. How to develop your lab skills, how to translate your theory into lab, how to explain what you have done in the lab to the layman. So um, therefore, going into postgraduate, masters, PhD, that is very much the key, because going into research, you have to not only have a good sense of your theory, but also how are you going to obtain information from scientific articles, people who have published before, and use that to your own benefit. Hence, the biotechnology program, as I know, consists of 6 semesters. Each semester gets deeper and deeper, meaning it covers. It starts from a general point of view, and then it accelerates to a more targeted point of view. And my advice would be, if you do decide to go into medical biotechnology, um, at the end of your 6 semesters, do try to find what is it that you're interested in, because it's very important to know. I know many people who have started out their degree, especially in MB, saying that, oh, I really want to go into research, but at the end of it, at the end of the 6 semesters, they think, oh, maybe research is not my thing, maybe going into the industry is my thing, or the other way, vice versa. People who think that they want to go into an industry, but at the end of it, they find that, oh, I really like to do research. So, and the other takeaway from all of this is, in addition to having theory and practical sessions, the other thing is having the exposure, meaning the internship, which is very important, because IMU gives you the leeway to do your internship in wherever, and meaning what in every part of the industry, meaning either pharmaceutical companies, biotechnological companies, or if you really decide that you want to go into research, then you can go into a research institute or other universities, and any part of the world. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Malaysia, it can be Singapore, Germany, anywhere, the world is your oyster. So therefore, um, for me, the internship was a really good chance to actually open my eyes on on what really is out there, and the internship actually gave me a chance to pursue my masters in Monash, because I did my internship in Monash under the same supervisor, and at the end of my internship, that particular supervisor offered me a place to do my masters. So internships are very important because at the end of the day, you are going out, and uh, the job market is so competitive because many people have or are going to have a degree in something, whether it's microbiology or biotechnology or medical science. So you're competing not only with your batch, but you're also competing with other universities or people who are coming from other countries. Therefore, it's very important for you to take skills that you have learned in your degree. So for medical biotechnology in IMU, because of the balance between the theory, the practical, and also how the information is delivered to us by the faculty, um, we have, I would say, we gained a lot of skills, that it came to a point where, because the skills are so diverse, anything that is thrown at us, we are able to identify what we need to do with that particular problem, So, an internship will be a good point for, potential employers to see and to view that, yes, medical biotechnology graduates have a balance of this. And, coming from IMU itself, not only do they emphasize on the curriculum, on teaching, but as well as developing your skills as a person, meaning your social skills, and as well as your um, uh, responsibilities, and also how to tackle having many things to do at a time. So how to multitask. Yeah? And going into postgraduate life, now that I'm a postgraduate student doing my master's, uh, a little bit of postgraduate life is actually, there are many ways you can look at it. It's either you would like to go into a coursework version of it, meaning more studying and then more exams, or you go into research where it's independent. It is on you. You find the problem that is out there. You develop a proposal to tackle that problem. Okay, whether it's an existing problem or a new problem. And then at the end of it, of course, along the way, there'll be bumps in your research, funding, repeating your methods, because maybe at the end of it, that's not what certain things are not found, or the data is not accurate. So, and then at the end of it, publishing, because publishing not only for you, but to also help everybody in the scientific world, and also the public as well. So at the end, and in conclusion, what I would like to say is, now there are many challenges out there, and now coming from the fact that there is a pandemic that just swept through without us knowing. So more and more do we need biotechnologies to tackle world problems, whether it be a virus, or whether it be existing diseases, because with science, every day there's something new. And being in the research field, you get to tackle new and existing things, so that you get to develop actually something that is not out there, or you get to help the team develop something that is not out there. Who knows, maybe in time to come there is a Malaysian who will develop a cure. We don't know. The possibilities are endless. So do try to open your mind and look at all of these different careers, in medical biotechnology, because it's not only about being a doctor or being an engineer, but when it comes to problems like these, where you need people to think on their feet and to develop something, uh, medical biotechnology goes a long way, and it will never end because there's always something new. Yeah. So thank you. And if you have any questions, you can always put it up in the Q&A box.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rubens.
Thanks, Tong.
Yes, since due to the time constraint, can we proceed with the sharing from maybe from Brian first? Brian?
Hi, hello. My name is Brian. I'm a semester 6 student, which is a final year student. It's the final semester. Currently doing the my final year project, and it's my final year project is on the river algae and how the isolation and characterization of microalgae in the Sungai Kuyo, which is actually the river outside of IMU, and it's connected to Klang River. Yeah. Anyways, that's not really what I want to talk about. What I actually want to talk about is the about the job market that biotechnologists, us medical biotechnology students will face. So oh, a lot of people ask me, like especially during open day, or a lot of parents ask me, or maybe even my friends, uncles and aunties, they always ask me, can you even find a job in can you even find a job as a medical biotechnology student? Aren't you just going to be in the lab and all these things? Well, like Ruben said, there are many routes you can take. So you can take the research route, or you can take the sales route. And what people don't really know is actually there are actually many other routes, such as when we talk about research, then it will be what Ruben said, you'll be in the postgrad, or you'll be in corporate research, where you'll be in the laboratory of a corporate building and then do their own projects and everything. But postgrad will be your own thing, or either you'll be under someone. But yeah, for me personally, I don't really like research, so I went to the sales route, or through sales route. Why is because personally, I don't like to stay in the lab and sit there constantly. I'm very I need to move, so if you really like to move and you really like to communicate with people, and you don't think you can work alone in the lab and everything, sure, you can definitely work. There's no problem in finding any jobs in the market as a medical biotechnology graduate. um mm, so then when it came to my internships, I was thinking, where can I apply to? Well, I'm here to tell you there's actually many places that actually accept medical biotechnology students. I'll be strictly not touching research because that's not my area. So aside from the pharmaceutical companies such as Pfizer, Novartis, AstraZeneca, all these big pharma, other than those companies, you can always go for local companies that are such as Pharma Niaga, Duo Pharma, Solution Biologics. I mean, not really local, but like smaller companies, because smaller companies really do give you in some way a much better experience, because it's more tailored to you in a way. Also, then I'm thinking, what if I don't want to go through this sort of like science route? What if I want to work in some other line of work? So I'm like, oh, I can work in food. So I'm like, thinking food. Oh, I can. I have seniors that have worked in Yu Yan Sang, Nestle. They have worked in other big food companies that I don't really remember of, but I only remember Nestle because Nestle is pretty big. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is basically that you are you as medical biotechnology students, you are not restricted to just only the lab. You are absolutely flexible enough and able to actually find jobs almost in any job market, as long as you know what you're talking about and how you relate to that certain job. It's just like Ruben said, you're competing with everyone else, but what makes you different is what you say, and also what you say as a medical biotechnology student. Yeah. For those of you who want to know what am I interning as, I'm interning at Thermo Fisher in Malaysia. And one good thing about that is actually Thermo Fisher is constantly looking out for interns. So that's definitely like a surefire job for you if you just apply there, even as a biotechnology student. Yeah. And like Prof Chin said, if you look at the job applications, then they don't really say, usually they don't even say like medical biotechnology students. They usually say life sciences or biomedical engineering or like anything relating to that. Actually, you can just apply to it, because you do what we learn in IMU is we actually cover a lot of a broad side of it, and you actually have the knowledge to actually apply for that job. So don't have to be so scared about job security. Yeah. I also I saw a question earlier that I would like to address, because it actually relates to me a lot personally. Yeah, someone said, does biotech use a lot of physics and mathematical skills? Okay, so I'm not really good at physics or mathematics, or even chemistry actually. So when I first entered IMU, the first semester, you like Dr. Wong Chu-Yan has said, you do the basics and the fundamentals. Yeah. So for the first semester or second semester around there, you cover like the basics. So you do maths, of course. But don't worry, I got a C, so it's fine. As long as you can just pass it. But physics will be in the second semester, and it's relatively easy. It's not too complicated. Mostly is you learn about the scientific instruments that you use, and you learn how to maintain them and all these things. All these little bit things, and you learn this here and there, and so that you know what you're talking about in the future. But yeah, I think I've covered most questions. Yes. I just received a question here. It says, is it possible to do cosmetic science with an MB degree? Interesting. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot to tell you that one of my seniors has actually a job in something relating to cosmetics. I'm not sure whether cosmetic science, but she's working in a cosmetic distribution company in Malaysia. I don't remember what is it called, but it basically deals in distributing and manufacturing certain cosmetics in Malaysia. So the examples of cosmetics that she actually distributes are like the top brands that come from France, like your Hugo Boss, your Versace, your Gucci fragrances, maybe even the cosmetics on the face. And also my mom has a friend that actually has a startup company on cosmetics in biotechnology as well, based on that. Yeah, so this basically just reinforces my point that you as a biotechnology student are absolutely able to get a job no matter where, no matter what field you go into, no matter what sector, public or private. So yeah, I think that's all I have to share. And so yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian, for your interesting sharings. And so, yeah, I'm very happy to hear from your, as a student perspective, on the use of the physics and mathematics in medical biotech. Very happy to hear that from you. And also, just as a conclusion from what Brian said, that actually MB is very broad, okay? You can go into various area of field. Like for example, if you are interested in research, you can go to R&D, research and development, or you can go to marketing and business. Or if you would like to further study, you actually can also further to your postgrad study, either in business, in business or in the research. All right. Okay, thank you, Brian. The next one, we will have the sharing from Miss Joey.
Hello, I am Zoe. I'm from Medical Biotech. I'm in my final year right now. So I want to share my experience on how I got into medical biotechnology and what I find that's great about medical biotechnology. And hopefully they'll help you to make a decision if you're struggling with choosing what degree you want to choose right now. Okay, so back in high school, my favorite topic is biology. And so when I learned about biotechnology, that basically is the utilization of living organisms and biological system to develop products like insulin or vaccine, and the use of genome engineering. I was like, oh, that's really cool, and I want to be a part of it. And the thought of being part of the biotechnology community and using the knowledge to help develop medicine to help people seems really cool to me, which is why I enrolled myself to the foundation program at first in IMU. And it's because I want to join the MB program in IMU. And before I enrolled, I actually looked into all the biotechnology program provided by the universities in Malaysia. But I found that the IMU MB program really suits my interest really well because of all the modules that they compile. And I also talked to Dr. Wang Chuyan, our program director, before I enrolled, and was really helpful and gave me a lot of information about the course. And there's a really good support system in IMU as well that give you a lot of resource and help you throughout the program. So personally, I find that all the modules that are compiled in MB, they are compiled in a way that covers all the grounds of what makes a good biotechnologist and really helps your career in the future. They include topics like chemistry, molecular biology, stem cells, bioinformatics, gene therapy, and to name a few. So you will definitely find a niche that you're interested in, and you can further venture into that field after you go through all the programs and learn all about that in depth. So further into the Q&A that I also can relate, I also got a lot of questions about the job prospect about being a medical biotechnologist. Especially, I get that question from my parents a lot. In fact, I get that question every time I go into a new semester because they seem to forget. But after going through with the program, that's because they keep asking that question because they don't really understand the details of being a medical biotechnologist. But after going through with all the program, I understand that and I learned about all the aspects like fermentation, bioinfo, GMO. You can go into research and quality assurance, entrepreneurship, and even diagnostic and all that. So now when my parents ask, what will you do when you graduate? I just say, oh, I can do anything I want. But right now, I'm interested in cancer therapeutic. And right now I'm also trying to look for the internship and in a pharmaceutical company that specializes in cancer therapeutics. So if you're interested in this area, so I would highly suggest looking into having a medical biotechnology as your degree. So I hope this can help you to understand what it's like to be a medical biotechnology student. And I look forward to seeing you in the IMU campus if you do enroll, right? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joey, for your sharing. All right, let me see, is there any question from the audience, all right, before we end our sessions? Okay, just a few more. All right, so one of the question is, all right, so what are the academic qualifications required to enter the program? And is this a competitive or challenging course? All right, so any one of you would like to answer this question?
I can answer it.
All right, Brian, please.
Okay, let me read the question again. What are the academic qualifications required to enter this program? Is it competitive or is it a challenging course? Okay, I'm not really good at academics. For qualifications to get into medical biotechnology, the course here in IMU, it's not too high, so it's definitely manageable. Anyone, I'm pretty sure you can enter. For a comparison, for my A levels, I got 1B and 1B and 2Cs, which is a bit low. But yeah, I managed to get into medical biotechnology, and I would think, and I have no background in chemistry either. So, but when I enter into medical biotechnology and I learn all this chemistry stuff and all these extra informations that I've never taken in A levels, I would think that it was I thought that it was challenging, but after a while you get used to the flow, and you would get the hang of it, and you feel like, oh, it's actually not that hard of a course. I would say it's not too steep like actual science, but it is definitely doable no matter what. You can definitely do it. If I can do it, I'm pretty sure all of you can do it.
I would also like to add on. I think that you know, in addition to not, I mean, if you feel that you want to come into NB, also the other thing is, don't also feel pressured that you need to get a 4 flat, you know, because 4 flat is not everything. It's better to be street smart than book smart, because I would also like to point out that I know some of, you know, people of my same batch, or you know, seniors who, whereby people with average CGPAs, my CGPA is also average, you know, I just straight out say that I only got a 3.10. So you don't, you know, the thing is, some of them who actually had really high result, really good results, you know, 3.7, 3.8, some of them are, sad to say, but you know, still stuck at home. So you, at the end of the day, you need to be able to translate what you have learned into and the skills that you have gained, so that people can appreciate it, you know, because reading and scoring for exams, it might just it might be good on paper, and it might just you know, satisfy you, but at the end of the day, if you're able to do this translation, and if you're able to work out whatever that you have gained, then you know, everybody else will talk about, will try to grab you, you know. So, and that's the reason why, with whatever I've gained and how I was able to maybe um, uh, to accommodate to the changes during my internship. Hence, that's how the supervisor at Monash asked me to come back, and now it's a tuition fee waiver, so I don't have to pay anything. So that's why I'm telling you, with everybody out there is getting a 4 flat, but what stands out, everybody out there is getting first class, but what stands out is how you present yourself and how you apply your skills. I think that's the most important. Thanks.
Yes, Ruben, thanks for sharing as well. Yeah, I do agree with what Ruben's saying, that actually academic result is not really the most important one. Okay, so that's why in my earlier explanation about the program, I do say that actually our program emphasize also on this soft skill. Okay, for example, the lifelong learning, team working, and also communication skill. So this is actually very important for everyone. Okay. So, all right. Maybe I go to one more questions before we end. All right. So, is there a reason why the salary of a biotech scientist in Malaysia is low? Prof. Chin, do you want to answer?
Sure. Um, I think I was reading that question. Okay, if you think of it, starting salaries for any fresh graduate is low across the board. It doesn't have to be medical biotechnology graduate. And the reason why I say that is because it's really up to the industry training, right? Because a lot of times when students go out to work, they do their industry training. However, a lot of the when employers then call to get recommendations, it's how you perform in your industry training. And I've spoken to a lot of people in the industry. They've shared this with me in confidence, so I'm sharing all with you. During the industry training, you have to take it seriously, meaning that you are actually practicing to go out to work, right? So if you take your industry training seriously and you treat it like a job, like Ruben said earlier, the fact that no matter where you do your industry training, whether it's a university or biotechnology company or R&D company or quality assurance, they are telling you, hey, I like your behavior, I like your attitude, I like your ability to work during this particular industry training. You know what? I'm going to give you a job. So essentially, if you do really well in your industry training, you take it seriously, your chances of getting hired are very, very high, right, Ruben? I think that's what you mentioned before. And some of the students that have gone through this particular program, they've actually secured jobs via their industry placement. So that's one thing. The other thing also is the industry people, where the students go out to apply for jobs and they ask for recommendations or letters of reference. One of the letters of reference has to be somewhere they've worked before. So if you ask the place that you did your industry to give you a letter of recommendation and you didn't put a good effort in it, of course they won't give you a good letter of recommendation, and hence you get the lower scale. Remember I showed you the scale job of salary from 1,500 ringgit to 5,700 ringgit. So you have that scale, and not everybody will get the same salary. There are other factors that are involved: the letters of recommendation, your work ethic, like what all Zoe, Brian, and Ruben have mentioned. How you actually tackle your simulated job in your training. And all these factors in. And so it's in some ways, I don't think it's fair to say that, oh, medical biotechnology grads have very low salary. No, it's just what you bring to the job. That's more important when it comes to factoring your salary, right? It's not that you hire, they say, okay, you're going to get 25K. They're not going to give you 25K, depending on how you interview, depending on what your letters of recommendation show, and depending on, it doesn't depend on your grade. So I agree with everything the students and alumni have said. It really doesn't depend on your grade, because you think of it, if you go and work in a job, they're not going to give you a test to score an A. They're not going to look at your theory, whether your knowledge is there. They want to see whether you can take your theory and apply it in practice, right? And so I like Ruben, I like Brian. When I applied to Johns Hopkins, I had a GPA less than 3. You know how bad that is? I had a CGPA less than 3. And the only reason why they took me is because of my other skills, my communication skills, how I'm able to convey messages, how I'm able to work on a team, how I am able to manage time. So exactly like what the students have mentioned before. So a lot more goes into fall flat than just your ability to pass exams. Nowadays, it's really how you can apply your skills in a work setting that will determine everything else beyond your undergraduate career. Okay, I hope that answers that question.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Chin, for your answer. All right, I think we have already answered all the questions that put in the Q&A panel. So I think we come to the end of the sessions. Thank you very much, Prof. Chin, for your interesting and informative talks. And also thank you very much for the alumni, Ruben, and also our current students, Brian and also Joey, for your sharings. So for the audience, you are also welcome to the virtual open day on this coming Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And kindly register at this website, www.imu.edu.my/openday. And the event highlights will be include the live chat with the faculty members, the virtual tour sessions, and also you can enjoy the application and the registration fee waiver for up to 800 ringgit Malaysia for all the program, except the medicine and also dentistry. And this is terms and conditions apply. All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
One last word for those of you who are still in the audience. If you still have questions, with respect to the program itself, career opportunities, jobs, questions like, is physics necessary, or and can you tell me a little bit more about biotechnology and vaccine development, stuff like that? Please don't hesitate to email questions to the IMU website, and we will do our best to address them for you.
All right, thank you very much. Stay
Okay.
safe and take care. Bye.